In today's video, I'm going to be guiding you through lots of the key functionality within the Ajaccts online software. When you load up the site, you'll first be presented with this page. Simply enter your business name, username and password. Once you've signed in, at each sign-in you will get a pop-up which will tell you the date and time of the last time that you signed into the software. This allows you to monitor all the access onto your account and flag up any unauthorized logins that you're not too sure about. I'll be splitting today's video up into two large sections. The first is the front-end UI with your day-to-day bookkeeping, and the second is the back-end with filing and submissions to HMRC. Within each of these larger sections there'll be multiple subsections, and I'll pop timestamps on your screen now, so if you'd like to skip ahead to different bits, feel free to do so. With your day-to-day bookkeeping, all your main functionality comes under the Records tab in the navigation bar. Firstly, heading over to Sales and Income, this is where you can enter your income and your stock, dictating the various types, and of course sorting your existing records depending on what you are looking for. In the Records table here, you'll also find your invoice functionality. You can expand any of the items out, which will give you an exact list of the items being charged on a single invoice, or you can print or email a client an invoice using these buttons here. This invoice is also customizable with your company's branding or logo if you'd wish. There are three different ways of invoicing on the Ajaccts software. You can either use the web input form on the right hand side, or of course edit the invoice using this button here. And additionally, you can import a spreadsheet as well as loading up the Ajaccts mobile phone application, which is simply through the browser on your iOS or Android device. The next thing we're going to look at goes through the Records tab once again and down to Purchases and Expenses. You can input three different types, a singular expense, stock or assets. For example, I can enter a new expense into our field in the term of a train ticket. The invoice date might be the 1st of August, the supplier, Virgin Rail. Description could be travel to Northampton. We can then also select one of the appropriate categories, in this instance car, travel or fuel, and we can say that has been paid. If we then save that, we will see it populates in our records section over here. We can then hit the find button and it will show us all of the expenses from that particular supplier, which is obviously really useful. Moving on once again through records and into the suppliers section of the software, if we hit find here, the table is going to populate with all the suppliers and it's feeding these back from, of course, your purchases and your expenses section. You can also manually add and search using the very same familiar format on the right hand side of the screen here. Once again, if we'd like to just find the ones from Virgin Trains, we can pop in the supplier name, hit find, and it's just going to populate those two. If you owe any money to any of your suppliers, it will also populate nicely in this bottom section here. And it's a similar story when it comes to your customers with this digit here. The next piece of functionality we're going to look at is our bank reconciliation section. This is going to allow you to upload a bank statement in this CSV format, which you can download easily from your online banking portal and compare that to your Ajaccts entries. Let me show you how it's done. You can either upload a new file here, and once that's been done, select said file and hit the pending tab. You're then able to use this form here to fetch the items within your Ajaccts entries, and if these were to match up, you can select each of the individual items and then tick them off one by one. This is going to allow you to make sure the figure on your Ajaccts software and your bank statement all line up nice and easily. The final thing in the Records tab that we're going to look at in detail is the Payroll and Employees section. We can look at the employees in the familiar table format here, browse through existing ones, add new ones, and even amend information of our employees already in the table. If we head back up and head over to Payroll, we can select a date to run payroll for. And then once we've run that payroll, we can open the folder on the left hand side to get our payroll report in the Ajaccts software. We can also use the second folder to download that report, and the third folder to actually email each of the employees their pay slips. And that really is it for the employees section. Having now covered the front end and the UI, the day-to-day bookkeeping functionality, we're next going to pop into the back end, the filing and submissions to HMRC. In order to get there, we first need to go to Filing in the navigation bar, and we're going to start off with a trial balance. Now, once again, it's a case of using this pane on the right hand side to properly instruct the software what we want to do. So I want to take the trial balance for the year end 2020. I'm going to hit the fetch button. You can see here that the trial balance has been now automatically created for the year period we selected and automatically populated with all the information based on what we looked at in part 1 of today's video. If you're only using the Ajaccts software for HMRC submissions and not day-to-day bookkeeping, then this will all be blank and you can manually enter in the correct and necessary information into each of the fields and hit save to save it for that year period, which sets us up well for our HMRC submissions. HMRC submissions is the next step, and that can be found through the filing menu and the HMRC submissions link. You can see here the software has intuitively warned us that we've edited some information. In my case, I want to discard the edits. You can see here that the HMRC submissions are split down into 3 separate documents. The first is your corporation tax for limited companies, or this will be a self-assessment for sole traders. Secondly, you've got the quarterly VAT, and it's important to note that Ajaccts are fully connected for MTD VAT as well. And finally, you've got your monthly payroll information. You're then able to use the icons on the right hand side of your table, which can be hovered over for tooltip information for a range of different functions. So for example, if we'd like to look at our corporation tax, we can pop the folder open, and this step may take a little bit of time as this is going to be a fairly sizable document with a good amount of necessary processing, so just be a little bit patient. You can see here that within a couple of minutes it's created all the necessary documents derived from that trial balance we worked on a second ago. You can email this off to somebody if you would like. You can also edit the submission or use this button here to submit to HMRC. It's a similar story when it comes to your monthly payroll. You can see this is a much faster document to generate because in our case it's much smaller in size, and the same goes for the quarterly VAT. If you've got lots of documents here that you'd like to sort through, you can filter in or out certain information. So if we'd only like to see the monthly payroll information, we can hit the RTI button. The same goes for our corporation tax, as well as our VAT, and our sole trader self-assessment, which of course we don't have in this case. Finally, as well, you can also filter down to specific dates in order to best find the exact document you are looking for. I hope this helps with some of your Ajaccts software questions and queries, and thank you very much for watching.